Mention the word Passage Tomb, and most people will think of Newgrange, Knowth or Doubt. Some may also mention Fornox or Carrowkeel. All amazing places. However, how many would know that there are 16 passage tombs in the Dublin and Wicklow Mountains? These are different from those of Newgrange, etc., but they are no less fascinating them. However, visiting them can be difficult. Most of these tombs are on mountaintops and are not always easy to reach. Today, I want to talk about Seefin Passage Tomb. To reach this tomb, you must go into the Wicklow Mountains and then climb Seefin Mountain. It's not the easiest climb. The path is not at all evident and is very boggy. In summer, it is very overgrown and there is no signage about where to park your car or to begin the climb. However, at the summit, your efforts will be rewarded and you'll find a 5,000-year-old passage tomb. Silent, empty, but filled with a mystery waiting to be uncovered. That is, unless ancient gods are angry with you. If I could just take a break here and ask you to follow the channel, click like and leave a comment. It really helps. On with the video. I visited Seefin on a sunny day in August. I was up in Dublin briefly. The weather was wet, yet again, but when I was in Dublin the sun came out, so I decided to go to Seefin. Getting to the general location is relatively easy, once you have a car. It is probably a 10 or 15 minute drive from the M50. However, there is no official starting place to begin the climb or even an official parking place. Instead, you have to park somewhere along the road. We parked a few minutes after Kilbride Army Camp. However, it seems it's better to park and start the walk before the Army Camp. It's a narrow road, though there are several laybys along it. No signs for Seefin though. After parking, you have to decide where to start the climb on the mountainside of the road. We found an entrance, walked through a wood and began to climb. Although most accounts say it's around a kilometre, it felt much more. As it was summer, the path was heavily overgrown. There was one small sign to the tomb, but we missed it and continued along the path we were on. This was quite boggy, and the last few hundred metres were steep. We had to scramble over rocks a bit. Finally, we got within sight of the tomb. By then, the sunny day had disappeared. It had become quite grey, and just as we were approaching the tomb, the heavens opened. It began to pour rain and got so windy it was almost impossible to film. This is not the first time this has happened to me when trying to get to a megalithic tomb in these mountains. The same had happened the previous year near the Tree Rock in Dublin. But that was in winter, this was August. I filmed for a few minutes, then had to give up and try to get down the mountain. No easy task as the wind was fierce and it was so wet I had to take off my glasses, as I couldn't see anything. Without my glasses I could only see a little more. Fortunately, I made it down without falling or busting my ankle. Then we had to find a path back to the car. Of course, as soon as we got to the car, the sun came out. I think the ancient gods of Ireland, or some of them, are angry with me. Or maybe they're trying to tell me something. Could this be that they want to preserve the mystery of Seefin? I'll never know. Nevertheless, I did get some filming done. Unfortunately, none of the magnificent views from the passage tomb that are talked about, as we could only see about 10 metres in front of us. Anyway, let's now turn to the passage tomb. It's located at the summit of Seefin Mountain, which is around 650 metres high. Seefin means Fionn, the seat of Fionn MacCumhaill, one of several mountains in Ireland with this name. I'll return to its mythological associations in a bit. The passage tomb is inside a 3-metre high and 24-metre wide circular stone cairn, which is very impressive. Surrounding the cairn is a curb of boulders, which may have served to separate the tomb from the surrounding area. On the east, there is an entrance into the passage tomb itself. Apparently, there are 2 stones decorated with rock art flanking the entrance. Due to the weather, I was unable to see these, as rock art is often quite difficult to make out without the correct light. Other accounts of visiting the tomb have also commented on being unable to see the rock art. After the entrance, an 11-metre long passage runs under the cairn. This runs northeast-southwest and opens into what is described as a rectangular corbel chamber, measuring 4 meters by 1.5 meters. This chamber contains 5 recesses or compartments, 1 at the end and 2 at either side. However, not all these are visible due to the collapse of parts of the cairn. In addition, parts of the cairn roof appear to be missing, meaning that light enters the passage. This means that if you stare into the passage from the entrance as I did, you can see the inside reasonably well. It should be noted that you are not allowed to enter the passage, for obvious reasons, as it could be damaged or someone could be injured or caught inside. As an aside, while Seefin has 5 compartments, the much more famous Newgrange has only 3. The entrance to the passage is interesting. A little hollow in the cairn marks it. You have to scramble over some stones to enter this, which gives some shelter from the wind. The hollow is triangular in shape and narrows towards the entrance. The entrance itself consists of 2 flanking stones under a lintel, leaving a narrow gap to squeeze through. After this, the passage seems to open. Some writers have speculated that the entrance resembles a woman's vulva, and also that the mound above it is like a pregnant belly. I'll come back to this point in a while. It's also worth noting that Seefin was excavated in the 1930s. This excavation was important, especially for what it did not find. Seefin was empty. Despite the large passage and the 5 compartments, no remains were found inside or indeed any other artifacts. It is an empty tomb. While it has been somewhat tentatively suggested that the tomb may have been plundered and everything inside it removed, surely there would have been some traces of dead bodies or grave goods, fragments dropped by those robbing the grave. There are various other possible explanations. One is that it may have been intentionally left empty. I'll return to this mystery in a bit. Although the Passage Tomb is built on a mountaintop, it does not appear to be alone. There are cairns in 2 neighbouring mountains, Seefin and Fionn. These cairns have not been excavated though, so it's not known for certain if they contain passage tombs. But all 3 appear to be connected. Moreover, as I said earlier, there are 16 passage tombs on summits in the Dublin and Wicklow Mountains. While Seefin is in Wicklow, it is just over the border from Dublin and it is relatively near Tallaght, so it is in the same general region as the Dublin tombs. I think this cluster of mountaintop passage tombs, and indeed other megalithic constructions, is important. Seefin cannot be properly understood as an isolated monument. Rather, it has to be looked at in the context of the other mountain constructions. Indeed, in a talk, the archaeologist Rosalind Dwyer refers to the tombs as a, quote, massive cemetery, end quote, and a, quote, cemetery landscape, end quote. She also refers to the mountain tops as being between the land and the sky, being viewable from far around, and indeed being full of magic. I think the liminal location of these tombs, being away from society, is very important. It marks them out, or apart, separates them from the ordinary world. Furthermore, the name Seefin, or Fionn, points to the connections between the construction and mythology. Seefin is obviously connected with Fionn MacCumhaill, who is said to have hunted nearby. Fionn is from the Gaelic world. Seefin Passage grave predates this, as it was constructed much before the Gaelic period in the Neolithic age. As was done with many megalithic constructions, Seefin was given a name by Gaelic Irish and connected to their mythos. Unfortunately, we do not know and can never know the mythos of those who constructed it, or even the name it was originally given. Indeed, we do not know what those who built Seefin and other passage tombs called themselves. This has been lost to time. Some people refer to them as our Neolithic ancestors. However, this is not something sure. DNA evidence points to a big change in DNA in Ireland in the Bronze Age, and based on most recent evidence, many specialists believe that there is little surviving Neolithic DNA in Irish DNA these days. Returning to the mythology, it has been speculated that Seefin may have been seen as an entrance to the otherworld. Indeed, this is stated on the OPW webpage about the tomb. I think this is quite possible, but we'll never know for certain. Based on the material evidence and in the case of Seefin, the absence of any apparent use as a tomb. It is possible to speculate about Seefin and other parts of the cemetery landscape of the Dublin and Wicklow Mountains. I think that its use and what it meant probably changed over time. First, I think that it is undeniable that Seefin was used for ritualistic purposes. While archaeologists often joke about the over-labeling of sites as ritualistic, in this case it really seems true. It is built in a liminal area, apart from society. It is easy to see but hard to reach. And, as I discovered, the weather here can change rapidly. High up, it is close to the sky, to the heavens, almost apart from the world. Second, building something like this in this place takes a lot of effort. While this is true for the lowland passage tombs, for those on a mountain top, the effort required is multiplied dramatically. The site was chosen deliberately, probably for symbolic reasons, though again we cannot be sure. Third, the fact that it is empty. I think, though I have no proof, that this may have been a deliberate decision. Seefin is special. Could it be so special that it was not used for burials? Was it ever intended to be a tomb? Finally, I want to return to the vulvic entrance. After the so-called vulva is a passage, which perhaps was seen as a womb, inside the pregnant belly. I think this is important, and it is something that should be researched. Could it be that Seefin was not meant for the dead, but for a celebration of life, fertility, or birth? We do not know. It is hard to unravel this mystery. It is intriguing, tantalizing, but for now it must remain a mystery, though one we can speculate on. Maybe in the future someone will do further excavations and find some hints about the use or uses of Seefin. I said uses deliberately, as there is more than one. Undoubtedly, its uses, functions, and interpretations changed over time. For example, the OPW webpage mentions the tradition of Seefin being connected to the Otherworld. Seefin was built 5,000 years ago. This Otherworld tradition possibly only emerged in the Gaelic period, or maybe only in the last few centuries. What traditions or beliefs were attached to Seefin 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, or 5,000 years ago when it was built? It is also possible that Seefin always had a number of functions. It could have been used to house the dead who were removed elsewhere after a time, while also being connected with ideas or rituals connected to fertility and life or birth. We do not know. We can only speculate. Seefin is 5,000 years old. It is a mystery. It contains a mystery, one that we stand little chance of unraveling. It might be better that we do not. Some mysteries are better left as mysteries. I hope with this video and this text to tell people about Seefin and maybe even encourage some to visit it, but respectfully, without climbing on it, without entering the passage, or worse, writing graffiti, building altars, damaging it, including by lighting fires inside it, something that unfortunately happens at many stone circles. Maybe in this way we can appease the ancient gods who seem to stand guard in the Dublin Mountains. Thanks for watching. If you'd like more videos like this, let me know. And for now, watch this video about beliefs in pre-Christian Ireland. Please like the video, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support the channel, my Buy Me a Coffee account details are in the notes. I'm doing 2 live streams a week at the moment, my History Time Q&A on Tuesdays and my stream with Irish medieval history and clans and dynasties on Wednesdays. So watch out for those, and feel free to ask questions for the Tuesday Q&A. Gurav Mahagriv, Slán.